Welcome back to my channel, Boomsby Beauty. My name is Juliana and today I'm going to be ranking my Natasha Denona palettes. Before we get into the ranking, on my eyes I've got the Beauty Bay Sunset Horizons palette as well as the VZ at Cool Matte 2 palette, and I'll just quickly show you what this is what the Cool Matte looks like. And this is the Beauty Bay Horizons palette, and that's what I've got on my eyes today. Now let us get on with the ranking. Okay. In number 12 spot for me is the Mini Tropic palette, and this is what the Mini Tropic palette looks like. So it's your purples, blue, green, and that's like a turquoise shimmer shade. And the reason why it's coming in at number 12 for me is because I wish I could swap this. I wish this was like a darker purple, you know, to just make the palette complete. I mean, this is nice for an inner corner highlight, and that would go with any of the shades. It would go with the green, it would go with the blue, and it would have gone with the dark purple. But that lilac just, it ruins it for me. It makes it very difficult for me to come up with, you know, a very diverse look and have my, you know, outer corner darkened to make the look have more of a range, if you like. And so that's why it's number 12 for me. Okay, in the number 11th position for me is the LILA palette. Is it LILA or do you call it LILA palette? This is what the LILA palette looks like. It's a purple palette mainly. Now I don't find purple flattering on me unless the purple has a range of purples in it rather than just, you know, some sort of limited purples on my eyes. This does not have a darker range of purple, so this is the darkest bit of purple in that palette. I just want a darker purple to give my eyes dimension. Look at all the matte shades are so limited in range. The other dark matte in here, it's not really a purple. If I swatch it for you, it's more of a dark red orange tone. So that's not like purple. I would have loved if that palette had like a dark purple. It just makes it, you know, more diverse, it gives it more of a variety, if you like. And at the moment, every time I've used it, I've just come up with similar looks to the point that I just give up. I only use it if I need like a medium average tone purple look on my eyes, and that's when I bring it out. So it doesn't really excite me. I mean, purple on its own does not excite me, and so this palette does not excite me either. In number 10 position is the Safari palette, and this is what the Safari palette looks like. It's an all matte palette. For a start, it makes noise. I don't know, for whatever reason, it kind of creaks every time I open it. But for me, yeah, this is number 10. And all matte. I love this palette. I love Natasha Denona's matte formulas. I love to use it, you know, with different shimmer shades, like your single shades from indie brands, and that's why it's coming in at number 10 with me. If not for the fact that I love matte formula, this would have been number 12 for me, because it's matte. It's just all matte, even though it's colorful, but it's just all matte. And on top of it, there isn't really groundbreaking shades in it. I mean, I love this one. I love about maybe, well, 4 in the total of the palette that stands out for me. This shade, that green, this one, and that brown, they stand out. But apart from those 4, the others are just meh. They are not outstanding really, and that's why it's number 10 for me. Well, my number 9 is probably going to be shocking to a lot of people, but for me it's number 9, and that's the gold palette. And this is what the gold palette looks like. Now this is a beautiful palette, no denying that, but it's just limited. I mean, I get the fact that it's called the gold palette, but at the same time, I'm not going to be putting gold on my eyes. I'm not sure anybody wants to be putting just gold on their eyes. So I expected the green to have a bit of a mid-tone range. So it's got your dark shade here. It's got a darkish kind of shimmer, but I feel like it's missing a medium range green. Okay, I used this palette on Friday, in fact this last Friday, and I had to dig out another palette to mix with it. Now there's nothing wrong with using 2 palettes. In fact, I love to use 2 palettes, sometimes 3 palettes, but I want to pull out those palettes because I want to, not because I need to. I like a palette, if I want to use it on its own, I want it to be enough for me. But if I want to mix it, I can choose to mix it. I had to pull out one of Paul McGrath's palette for me to be able to complete that eye look, and it is the Nocturna Nirvana Quad. I had to use this green. I mean, I know it might be coming across as purple to you, but it is green. And let me just swatch it for you. I had to use this to complete my look. You see how beautiful that is. And the reason is, if I show you the green in this, in the Natasha Denona palette. Now, this is the green shimmer, and then that is the green matte. And it's just too dark, and it just jumps. So I needed something lighter to bring the look together. I mean, there is a duochrome. Let me swatch the duochrome for you. There's a duochrome in there, which is not very pigmented. It's just like a topper shade. So for me, it looks like there was something missing, which was why I had to go into the Nocturnal Nirvana quad to be able to make that look complete for me. So I don't like that. I don't like something to be missing from a palette. And also, even if I wanted to use the darker brown, I feel like, you know, this could have gone darker, at least for my skin tone anyway. That could have gone darker. This is similar, that's similar. There isn't really, there's no wow factor for me with this palette. I don't know why there's no wow factor. You could maybe, there are some standout shades, maybe like 5 of the shades, but all together it just does not wow me. It doesn't scream beautiful, or it doesn't scream complete. Yeah, that's the word. It doesn't scream complete for me. It's almost like there's something missing. I wish there was less of the browns and she brought in 1 or 2 greens to make this palette complete, if you like. And that's why it's number 9 for me. Coming in at number 8 is the Cranberry palette. It is a mini palette. Well, I won't call it, she doesn't refer to it as mini palette, but it's one of the small palettes. So for me, the reason why this is coming in at number 8 is I wish she had swapped this color to a different matte. The 3 shimmers doesn't suit this palette, because as far as I'm concerned, you can probably come up with 3 looks maximum. I mean, and there's nothing wrong with it being a 5-pan palette. Yeah, 3 looks is good. But if she had swapped this particular shade and just put something else in there, another matte, I think this palette would have been perfect and it would have ranked higher for me. But as it is, it's just limiting. It's limiting. I just wish she had swapped one of the shimmers for a matte, and that's why it's number 8 for me. In the 7th position is our GLAM palette. When this palette first came out, I thought, oh my days, what was she thinking? I mean, obviously for my skin tone, for lighter skin, not for darker skin tones, but I was wrong when I saw the palette. When I saw the palette physically, honestly, it is a beautiful, gorgeous palette. And even though it's cool tone, and I'm always scared of cool tones, I'm always intimidated with cool tones, but this I find is beautiful. And what I think is beautiful is the fact that don't look at the shades more than 3 colors at a time. If you just think about it, say you want to use 3 colors at a time, you want to use those 2 with 1 shimmer, or even a matte with 1 shimmer, or 1 matte with 2 shimmers, this palette is absolutely beautiful for that. If you look at it in that terms, and that's how I've used it. I've literally used 2 mattes, 1 shimmer, or 1 matte, 2 shimmers. It's just beautiful and gorgeous, and you can go as dark as you want, you can go as light as you want. And if let me just quickly swatch 2 colors. So that is more of a cooler tone, and that is like an in-between cool and warm, but you do have 1 warm tone in there. You do have more than 1 warm tone in there actually. So let me swatch the shimmers. I've got my fingers for you. You can see how beautiful these shades are. So the shimmers have got variety, and that's part of what I love about it. I mean, look at this. This is like of a pink tone, this is silver, and this is just brown. You can do any look with this palette. Honestly, you can go many ways with this palette. The shimmers gives you options. You know, you can go the pink route, the pinkish silver route, the cool tone brown, golden route, whatever you want you can do. And I love that about a palette. It doesn't have to be all about the matte. The shimmers can be the wow factor in a palette, and for me the shimmers are the wow factor in the GLAM palette. It makes it possible for you to do multiple looks, and I love that. Absolutely love that. The GLAM palette is number 7 for me. In number 6 position is the mini gold palette. I know the mini palette ranks higher than the big gold palette for me, and it's just because this palette is beautiful. I mean, it's well thought of. Look at it. That shimmer, even though it's a shimmer, can darken your outer corner to give you, you know, range in your look. So the existence of that brown, it gives you dimension in your look. I mean, you can, even though it's shimmer, you can use it to darken your outer corner, and it gives you a beautiful look. And the shimmers in this palette are just so beautiful. If I just swatch these two for you, they are absolutely gorgeous. I love this palette. I mean, look at that. Look how beautiful that shimmer is. In this tiny little palette, you can find perfection in this tiny little palette, and I absolutely love it. And it's number 6 for me. Okay, we are down to the last 5, and these 5 are going to be ranked according to my color preference. Because the 5 are absolutely beautiful. Coming in at number 5 is the bronze palette. I mean, look how beautiful this palette is. So beautiful, so gorgeous. It's got this very dark brown shimmer that is just yummy. And with these two, and especially this one, you can just go whichever way you want. You can go in different dimension if you like. And one thing I always like about a palette is you can do your high looks in quads, you can do it in columns, you can do it in rows, which makes it so easy and beautiful to use a look. It gives you very easy options, you know, that you can do in 5 minutes and you're out of the door. And let me just swatch this dark brown for you, actually, as well as this one beside it too. Look at that dark brown, and then the shimmer beside it. It's just beautiful. I mean, those two with a lighter shade in your inner corner, you're out of the door. Natasha Denona's palettes are so easy to use, and that's what I like about her. It's one of the things I like about our palettes, as well as our formulas. The formulas for our mattes especially, because they don't, all the ones I've used, they don't give me fallouts. They're so easy to use, you know, without you having to worry about falling, eyeshadow falling on your face. And it's just a beautiful palette. I mean, look at that gorgeous shade over here. I'll swatch this for you as well. Look at that. And this palette is beautiful. I mean, look at all those 4. They are totally different shades. It takes you to a whole new dimension. It's such a gorgeous palette. It's so underrated because you look at it and you think, oh, browns. Yeah, and that's what I thought at first as well, until I look deeper and saw that, okay, actually it's more than browns. But just so you know, all of this were bought at a particular sale or the other. In fact, most of it I bought in the Black Friday sale. None of them were bought at full price, because I don't think any of these palettes are worth the price, you know, the full price they have. I would rather get them on a deal. But for the deal, absolutely beautiful palette. For me, this is coming in at number 5. Coming in at number 4 is the Love palette, and the Love palette is mainly pinks, purples and red. I love this palette. So far, I bought this during the Black Friday sale, and I've already used it for 3 different looks. And honestly, I'm telling you, gorgeous palette. Easy to apply, melt on the eyes. 2-3 minutes, you can do a look and you're out of the door. I mean, I've done look based on this red here, just this quad. I've done a look based on the purples. I've done a look using the pinks, you know, with a purple to darken my outer corner. It's an absolutely beautiful palette, honestly. So gorgeous and so different. It's easy to look at it and think, oh, is a red palette or is a pink palette, especially because the frame is red. But it's honestly, it's different. It gives you a lot of different variety, and it gives you dimension. You can go purple all over this side, you can do purples all over this side, you can do your pinks and reds, and all over here you can, you know, come in and use the red, darken with the purple or darken with this one. It's just so beautiful a palette. I absolutely love this palette. Number 4, Love palette. In the number 3 position for me is the Sunrise palette, and this is what the Sunrise palette looks like. Again, color preference, red. I love red, absolutely love red. I cannot say it enough. Red is my favorite shade. Anything red will always sell me, and this is full of my favorite shades. Let me just swatch a couple for you. I mean, look at this, absolutely beautiful. If you love red, you are gonna love this palette. I mean, look at that. What more do you want? Absolutely beautiful palette. I love the Sunrise palette. I definitely do. And if you are into reds, I would definitely recommend this for you. So this is ranked at number 3 for me. So we're down to the last two, and honestly this last two is a toss of a coin. To be honest with you, it's a toss of a coin, and it's only based on color preference. So coming in at number 2 for me is the Metropolis palette, and this is what the Metropolis palette looks like. And if I'm honest, I kind of feel as I'm unfair to the Metropolis palette because it should really have come in at number 1. If you want to think of variety and other factors, it definitely should have come in at number 1 for me. But because of my preference, that is why it's coming in at number 2. It is a beautiful palette. Honestly, if you can only buy one Natasha Denona palette, this is the one I will recommend. Even though it's coming at number 2, this is the one I will recommend, and the reason is because it's got variety. I mean, look at everything. Let me just flip this over and show you properly. Look at this palette. Look how beautiful and gorgeous it is. It's got everything. It's got your blues, your red, your green. It's got oranges. It's got yellow. It's got gold. It's got bronze. It's got everything that you can ever ask for. I mean, this red with the blues and the greens, just beautiful. Let's just watch those. Look how beautiful the shades are. So beautiful. Let me swatch those that blue again. Look at that. Gorgeous, gorgeous palette. I really love it. Yeah, definitely. If you can only own one, if you can only afford one, you can only buy one, or you choose to only buy one, is the Metropolis palette. I think amongst all of our palettes, Metropolis palette is the one that deserves to be in the number 1 position because it's got everything that you will ever need, and the performance as well is absolutely beautiful. The mattes are gorgeous. They melt like butter on the eyes. Yeah, just beautiful. Alright, finally we're at number 1. Can you guess which is my favorite Natasha Denona palette based on the colors I love? Can you guess? Okay, it is none other than the Sunset palette. I love this palette. I know that it's probably not everybody's cup of tea, but for me it's my favorite Natasha Denona palette. That color, if only for that color, just that one. That one, he sells this palette for me every time. I mean, look at that. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. It is beautiful sunset palette. I mean, honestly, the name really suits this palette. Sunset palette, and that's what I think of. I just think of, you know, brightness. I think of happiness. I think of the sun. You know, I think of sunset, sunrise, everything. I love this palette. I absolutely love this palette. All of the shimmers in here are gorgeous, and there's so much go with the shimmers. If I just swatch the rest for you, and beautiful. Let me see if I can swatch some of the shimmers for you as well. Look at this one, absolutely gorgeous. And look at that, beautiful. This is such a beautiful palette. I mean, this is actually my first Natasha Denona palette. I bought it together with the LILA palette. I believe it was 2019. She was doing buy one get one free, and these were the two palettes I got along with the Sunrise palette, which she was selling at, I think, well, 40% discount or something. So I got those 3 palettes, and they were my first experience of Natasha Denona, and I have not been disappointed since then. And I honestly, I love this palette. So this is my number 1. It is the Sunset palette, my favorite of Natasha Denona's palette. And honestly, you cannot go wrong with any of her palettes. Her formula are phenomenal. I love her palettes. I love her formula. I love her shimmers. I love the way she sets up her shades even in the palette. Those are the things that makes me want to use her palette. I love it so much. So that is my ranking of my Natasha Denona's palette. I hope you've enjoyed the ranking. I want to know which one is your favorite. Is it the way I've ranked mine, or would you rank yours differently? Let me know which one is your favorite Natasha Denona's palette. And thank you for tuning into this video. Please share, please like this video, and consider subscribing to my channel. And until next time, I will see you.